Hello, everyone. It's Charlton, and we're waiting for a live press conference in Austin, Texas. I believe maybe I'm not sure if it's going to be the mayor or the police chief of Austin or what. The police chief already gave a press conference earlier today because of a first incident that happened, I think, around 6:45 a.m. this morning, where an explosion took place at a residence. There was a package that was left on somebody's doorstep. They found it and brought it inside, and as soon as they brought it inside and began to open it, it exploded. It killed a 17-year-old boy and injured a 40-year-old woman. I'm not sure of the relationship between the 17-year-old and the 40-year-old woman. It seems to be linked to another incident on March 2nd where similar circumstances, except it was a 39-year-old man. There was a package left on his doorstep. He brought it inside. When he opened it, it exploded and it killed a 39-year-old man. After that press conference, there was a third explosion, the second of today, and that's what they're informing us right now about. And I'll go right to it's the Austin Chief Police, and he's going to update the public right now.
All right, is everybody ready? All right, good afternoon. My name's Brian Manley. I'm the Chief of Police here in Austin, Texas. I'm going to identify some of the folks that are here with me, and then we're going to give you a briefing on the incident that has occurred around the corner from us earlier today. To my right, I have the city manager, Spencer Cronk. I have the mayor, Steve Adler. John Scatta is the resident agent in charge for the FBI. And I have Frank Ortega, who's the assistant special agent in charge for the ATF. And then Ray Ariano, the assistant city manager, along with members of APD's executive and command staff. Austin Police received a call today at 11:50 a.m. Our call came to the 6700 block of Galindo, and we received multiple calls regarding an explosion that had taken place at a residence in the 6700 block. A few of those calls indicated that there was a victim that had been injured in this explosion. We had multiple units respond from both the police department, the fire department, and EMS that responded immediately to the scene and started providing care to the patient that was injured in this explosive blast. As you all know, we were already on the scene of an explosion that occurred earlier today at a location up north, so many of the other resources left the scene of that incident to come down here. What we know has happened on this incident, similar to the other two incidents, the one both from this morning and the one that occurred back on March 2nd, is that the victim in this incident came outside of her residence and found a package out front. And she picked up that package, and at that point, the box detonated at that point. She was significantly injured in that explosion. She is a 75-year-old Hispanic female. She was transported to the hospital by emergency medical services and is currently listed in critical but stable condition, and her injuries are considered life-threatening at this time. So we, again, are praying and thinking of her and hoping for a recovery from this incident. This, again, is the third in what we believe to be related incidents that have occurred over the past 10 days. And similar to what we have said in the earlier instances, we want the community to be aware of what is going on, because, again, based on evidence that we have at this scene, as well as at the other two scenes where we've had these explosions, this evidence makes us believe that these incidents are related. We do not have a specific victimology or ideology that we have identified, so assigning a motive to this at this point we're not possible to do that based on the stage that we're at in the investigation. We are not ruling anything out at this point, because when you rule something out, you limit your focus of the investigation and you might miss something. So at this point, we are willing to investigate any avenue that may be involved in behind these attacks, and we are imploring the community, if you know anything about these attacks, it is imperative that you come forward and that you let us know. We are having innocent people getting hurt across this community, and it is important that we come together as a community and solve this. We have the continued support and partnership with all of our federal agencies. The Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, Explosives Division is here, along with the FBI, the United States Postal Service, and many other agencies are working with us. We currently have the evidence response team from FBI San Antonio and Austin. They now have their Dallas team coming here to assist us as well. And the ATF is bringing in their national response team to Austin in addition to help support us as we go through this investigation. We are putting together a task force that will work jointly until we conclude this investigation and we arrest the person or persons responsible. And we will leave no stone unturned because we are not going to allow this to go on in our city. That being said, this will be a lengthy investigation, putting all of this evidence together as we work towards a conclusion. All three incidents that have occurred to this point have all occurred at residences, and we don't want to have people be overly alarmed, but it is important that people be vigilant and be aware for things that look suspicious. If you have had a package show up at your home and you were not expecting a delivery, if the package that is delivered to your doorstep looks suspicious in any way, call 911, report it. We will respond. It may take a little while to get there because we are getting several calls, but we have had all of our law enforcement partners join us in this effort. We have explosive and canine teams joining us from the ATF, from the Department of Public Safety, and we're pulling resources from other Austin areas as well, because we want to ensure this community that we're going to do everything we can to keep you safe while this investigation is ongoing up until that time that we conclude it with an arrest. And we don't know at this point what that timeline looks like. We also know we've got a music festival here in town, and we've got a lot of visitors. And it's important for those that are here in Austin, that are here for the Spring Festival, to be aware of what's going on. Enjoy yourself. Have a good time. There's no reason to believe that you are at any greater risk other than be aware, look for things that are suspicious. We've been putting the message out repeatedly. If you see something, say something. If you see something that looks out of place, if you see something that's suspicious, it is important that you call us. And for any residents that have these suspicious packages, under no circumstance should you touch them, move them, or handle them in any way, but instead make that call, and then if you can exit your residence or go to the back of the residence until that time that we can get there and deem that safe. Again, this investigation is ongoing. We do believe that it is related to the other two incidents that have occurred in this city. But again, we have no specific ideology or victimology behind this, and it will remain an ongoing investigation while we pursue any and every lead. So with that, I will open it up for questions. However, remind you again that we are in the preliminary stages, so there is not a lot of information that we can either put out or that we will put out to protect the integrity of this investigation.
Is there anything that you think that these victims are targeted, especially with this third individual? Was she the intended victim?
We do not know yet whether the victims are the intended targets on these cases. Again, they're being left at homes where there are either multiple residents or it might even be left at the wrong address. So that's part of the investigation that's going on now, and that's what we're trying to identify is what is the victimology and what might be in common amongst these victims.
Is there any devices that are similar to any evidence that is similar to the devices that have been exploding in the package wrapping?
What these are box type deliveries, and so again, that's why we're saying if you receive a suspicious package, a suspicious cardboard package, but really I don't want to limit this to anything. If you receive a suspicious package, then call us and let us come out, because a device like this can be hidden in many different ways. And so it's important, again, if you're not expecting a delivery and yet one shows up and it's not from someone that you do business with or that you were expecting, it's important that you call us.
Can you describe the first explosion more seriously? We heard the term isolated incident during that first explosion on March 2nd. Here we are 3 incidents later.
Correct. On the first one, we did believe it was an isolated incident. We had nothing that made us believe in that moment that it was part of anything larger than an isolated incident. Standing here today, having had the two incidents that we've had today, and being able to do an initial review of the evidence that we have, we do believe that these are related at this time.
More explosions.
We're not going to go into the specifics on the actual package because of the protecting the investigation, and that's why it's important for the community. Any package that you were not expecting or that looks suspicious, call us.
So the current APD's resources at South by Southwest is still going on?
We're luckily a large city with a large police department, and we will manage this. I will say we've had offers for assistance from other agencies to bring in help if needed, and we've actually received a call from the governor's office as well already asking if we need any assistance. And so we're working through that right now. We're putting our plan together. As I mentioned earlier, we've brought in additional explosive canine teams into Austin so that we can respond to these calls that are coming in where individuals have reported suspicious packages. It's not time to panic, but it's time to be vigilant, and it's time to pay attention. It's time to pull together as a city and a community and solve this. So we need the community's participation. If you see a suspicious package on your porch or somebody else's, let us know.
The third package, was it left by UPS, by the Postal Service? You said the second one was not.
No, we do not believe that this package here today was left by any of the official mail delivery services, whether it be the United States Postal Service, UPS, FedEx, or DHL, but that will be part of the investigation. Standing here today, though, we do not believe that this was delivered by any official delivery service.
Are they detonating upon opening or just by moving them from the porch?
These devices can explode in many ways, either by being moved or by being opened, and that's why I want to reiterate the importance of if you see something that's out of place, do not handle it, do not move it, do not touch it. Call us.
Have you been able to say how long the package was at their door? Do they have any idea of when it was dropped off or anything like that?
No. What we know is the victims, when they've seen these packages on the front porch, they have gone out and they have handled them in some way or another, and we've had the explosions occur.
Are there any connections between the victims?
No, again, what I mentioned earlier, we're working on victimology right now. That's one of the things you want to do when you're investigating what you believe to be a series of incidents, is you want to look for commonalities among your victims where their paths may have crossed so that you can determine if it is connected or if it is random. And at this point, we have not yet determined that.
You still got possible hate crime.
We can't rule anything out. As I mentioned earlier today, when you rule something out, you limit your focus and you may miss things. So what we have had to date right now is we have had 2 victims that were African American, and the victim of this latest incident was a 75-year-old Hispanic female. So we are still working to identify whether or not that may play a role, but we're not going to rule that out, as we're not going to rule out any other potential motive.
Were you able to describe engineers in the same way? Are they relative in size, even big, small?
I can't go into the specific sizes, but they're an average size delivery box. They're not exceptionally large. You know what? We've got a pattern of incidents that have occurred in this community over the past 10 days, and so that we believe are related. So that's what we're focused on right now, is the connection between the 3.
Any kind of vehicle or description of a person or anything that anyone's seen?
No, we do not have any descriptions of suspects or vehicles, and that's why, again, it is so important that the community, if you believe you know something, if you have heard something, however trivial you may believe it to be, that may be the piece of information that we need to crack this case. So it's important that you report that to us.
From people about potential suspicious packages, have any of those turned up any leads, or have any been suspicious when you've examined them upon arrival?
No. So we've since this morning's press conference, when we implored the community, please let us know if you see something suspicious, we have received several calls. None of those calls have turned out to be anything suspicious or anything explosive.
What kind of explosive is it? Do they seem to be amateurly made? Do they seem to be expert put together? I mean, just the extent of how the packages appear as far as the detonation.
The bomb techs are putting all this together, and that's really for the experts, the ATF and my bomb squad. But what we do know is we have an individual that has the ability to construct these bombs and to have them successfully detonate and cause what we've seen so far, serious injury and loss of life.
What type of explosive is it, and is it the same in each instance?
That's part of the ongoing investigation. There's a lot of analysis that has to go into the chemical composition, and we have not yet determined what they're using as the explosive charge.
Chief, are you calling this a serial bomber case?
We're not calling it a serial bomber, but we have a pattern of instances that have occurred in the community that we're very concerned about, and that we have brought all of the resources possible to bear. What the community, number one, we want them to be vigilant, but we also want them to understand that there is no stone that will be left unturned, and what you have seen behind us here, as well as at the other scene, is a complete cooperative effort between the federal agencies, the local agencies, and we are now cooperating and being provided assistance through the state agencies as well. This is of the interest to all of law enforcement, because this is someone that everyone wants to see put to an end and stop these bombs.
How powerful are these explosives? Like, what is the circumference of the ground that these explosives are covering? Like, are these very powerful explosives? Is that surprising to you?
obviously powerful enough. You all saw what happened at the initial incident 10 days ago, that it caused significant damage to that front porch area, and there was significant damage done this morning as well. So these are very powerful devices, and that's why, again, it is so imperative that no one attempts to touch, move, or handle one of these packages if you come across it.
What do you say about the person that's making these bombs? I mean, if they're this powerful, what kind of expertise does someone have to engineer something like this, pull it off, be able to deliver it without detonating it?
Again, as I said earlier, that's what the bomb technicians and the ATF are working on right now. However, there is a certain level of skill that is required to put a device like this together successfully, and then to have it detonate in the manner in which these are, and to cause the significant injuries and death that they have.
Are they ringing the doorbell?
No, they're not ringing the doorbell. These the residents are coming out and finding these packages on their doorsteps. Thank you very much.
Chief, is there any link between the victims at all? Have y'all found any kind of connection?
All right, I'm going to stop there and let that play in the background, but that seems to be the end of it. So, yeah, it's absolutely insane. We now have 2 dead people, one seriously injured woman, 75 years old, he said, a Hispanic. The first 2 were African-American. The first was 39 years old. That happened...
I'm grabbing the mic. Stand by.
Happened approximately 12 miles from the home where the explosion took place earlier today, which I believe was at 6:45 a.m. This explosion happened 5 miles from that home. So they're all within a pretty close range of each other. I let all those questions go out because I wanted to hear the answers for them. And I would think, somebody's got some pretty good expertise to be able to make a bomb like that would detonate just on being picked up or being opened. It sounds like the first explosion with the front porch being, blown up, which I haven't even seen a photograph of that happened on the 2nd of March, just 10 days ago. That sounds like it happened when the person picked it up, but I'm not certain of that. The one that happened this morning with the 17-year-old boy and the 40-year-old woman, the 17-year-old boy was killed. The 40-year-old woman is in the hospital now with non-life-threatening injuries. The report was that he brought it into the home and began to open it, and when he opened it, it exploded. This one, the report is with the 75-year-old Hispanic woman that when she picked it up off the front porch or picked it up at the front porch, it exploded, and she's was critically injured. I think they're life-threatening injuries, but I don't really know that for certain. At first they were thinking potentially hate crime, maybe. With the first two victims being all being African American. This is a Hispanic woman, but we just don't know at this stage. And he did answer the question, but none of the packages, to the best of my knowledge, were delivered through a postal service. There's no record. They've spoken with the post office, I think FedEx and UPS for at least the incident this morning. So, I mean, I would think even with this incident where, the woman, it happened later in the day, I still believe that it was probably placed on the porch overnight, and she probably just didn't come out to get it until this afternoon or till noonish time, whatever. I don't know what time she did, because you would have to think this person's not putting this on a porch in broad daylight. But even with the person doing it overnight, you got to think at somewhere there's got to be surveillance footage from a neighboring home, that's got surveillance cameras showing somebody walking up and placing a package on the porch. You would think that at some point, just anywhere, just catching a little glimpse of it, you would think that's gonna surface. But we'll see. And they're telling people, obviously, don't even touch packages that are left on your front porch, that look suspicious. It's absolutely insane. It's really scary, man. Crazy. All right, thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. We'll follow this story for sure and give you an update as soon as we know more. And give me a like down below. I'll see you in the next video. Later, man.